I'm 75 now, and I can't remember anybody except the Queen being there.
But there's been no indication that the King's cancer treatment is finished.
But there's been no sign that the King's cancer treatment has ended. So as the year winds down, Queen Camilla has shaken. Expectations with a statement that reveals things may not be as perfect as they seem, and this just came to light. While she was addressing the public, she hoped to sway opinions on a particular subject, but she only ended up sparking even more interest, leaving the entire country completely stunned with so many unanswered questions. What exactly happened, and how will this affect the future of the country? Join us as we tell you all about Queen Camilla's bombshell announcement, the one that shook the entire nation, with the royal family at the very centre of all affairs. Regarding the United Kingdom, you could say things have been moving along rather seamlessly for a while, even though there have been countless trials and tribulations. Together they have worked hard to ensure they not only overcame the many problems, but they've done so in a way that never negatively impacted the country. However, it seems like the royal family has its hands full with a problem they are not entirely sure they can overcome. This became clear right after the Queen herself made a shocking announcement relating to King Charles's health at a recent public event. This announcement, which the public saw as unprecedented, has left the entire country completely rattled, especially since it came directly from the Queen herself, which goes to show the seriousness of the situation in Buckingham Palace and how the royal family might be in a chokehold. In a nutshell, it seems the very future of the throne is uncertain. Keep watching to find out why. If you've been paying close attention to the movements of the royal family, you must have noticed something peculiar. The King has been making far fewer appearances in public than before. King Charles's health has been deteriorating. For some, the news of the King's poor health isn't really new, as word has been going around for quite some time. However, it was a huge shock to hear straight from the Queen just how bad it was. Normally, the royal family is known for keeping things hushed up, especially news as delicate as the King's health, yet Camilla spoke her mind in public without holding back. This was extremely surprising, and the announcement was more than enough to shock not just the United Kingdom, but the entire world. As a matter of fact, Camilla opened up during her recent documentary titled Her Majesty the Queen Behind Closed Doors. In this documentary, Camilla showcased her first year as Queen, and it was supposed to provide a glimpse of how she has been tackling the issue of domestic abuse over the years. As Queen, she is breaking the cycle to end domestic abuse forever. However, it did much more than that. Apparently, it also showed a moment when she visited the government house on the Isle of Man in March 2024, just a month after news broke about King Charles being diagnosed with a form of cancer. At that meeting in the government house, Camilla was questioned about the King's health, and she could have decided not to say a single word on the matter. However, she didn't hold back on the details. In her reply, she responded that he was doing well. She also stated the biggest issue is that managing the King's condition was preventing the King from doing so much, and this was the main reason why Queen Camilla made most of the official appearances in place of the King, for an announcement that no one would ever expect. This took the entire country by surprise. While the intent behind Queen Camilla's statement might have been to reassure the citizens about the King's health, it also gave a full glimpse of how power dynamics are shifting inside Buckingham Palace. The King is doing less than before and making fewer appearances. Does that affect decision-making in the palace? For the times when a new policy was announced, can we really say that the King himself approved of it, or was it a joint decision between the other royals? These are the questions that a great many people have been asking. While some citizens are bothered about how the royal family's decision to push the King from the main stage would affect the country, there are also others who believe that Camilla's statement was a front to distract the country from the truth that the King's health might be getting worse. If that's the case, her announcement might have been much more personal due to a possible outburst of emotions that might have been building up inside her for a while now. After all, let's not forget that while Camilla is the Queen Consort, she is also the partner of the King. That being the case, it must not have been easy watching the one she loves face the harsh realities that come with cancer. Making the announcement might not have just been to convince the people, but it might have been to convince herself as well that everything is fine with King Charles. What do you think? Let's be honest, it's a sad and frankly tacky situation, so we're here to break things down so you know what's really going on. We'll cover the full implications of the Queen's announcement and how it could redefine the fate of the entire royal family. Just how big is the Queen's announcement? Well, you are about to find out. Stay with us to get the full details on Queen Camilla and the implications of her announcement. In truth, there are a lot of theories and reactions coming from the public. About Camilla's announcement, however, the one thing everyone had in common was the absolute shock and surprise on their faces. But for you to really understand how much weight this announcement carries, it's important to first know the backstory of how she even took the stage to become Queen Consort. Obviously, in the eyes of many, Camilla's ascension to the throne isn't exactly squeaky clean, and it's pretty easy to see why that is. Of course, this is all because of the numerous talks about the scandals between her and King Charles from when Princess Diana was still alive and married to him. Because of the history surrounding their relationship, the most common belief is that her position as queen isn't truly deserved. Now, it's true that Queen Camilla might not have earned her title like other royals, but that still doesn't change the fact that she has done a remarkably good job as Queen Consort over the years. Camilla hasn't just proven herself to be a one-of-a-kind Queen Consort, she has also shown herself to be a wonderful partner to the King, offering both personal and professional support wherever needed. As Queen Consort, her role involves joining the King on official engagements, hosting foreign dignitaries, and representing the Crown at various charitable and ceremonial functions. You could say that these duties are more or less a summary of what the modernised image of the monarchy looks like. On her own, Camilla has also orchestrated many events to tackle issues like literacy, domestic violence, and many others in the UK. And let's not forget about her extensive patronage, which extends to organisations like the Royal Reading Room that promotes literacy. This really sets her apart as one of the most compassionate people to ever ascend the throne. And despite all her achievements and all her contributions, Camilla has faced a huge amount of scrutiny from the public. Still, she has adapted to being under the microscope and fulfilling her duties regardless. Amidst all of this, her most difficult challenge has been the reformation of royal policies and laws alongside the King to fit modern times. At least that's what everyone believed, until the news finally got out to the public about the King's health condition. While the public is taking this news with mixed reactions, there have also been several responses from members of the royal family concerning King Charles's cancer diagnosis. Prince William and Princess Catherine, who are known for their composure and forward approach, released a statement emphasising their father's resilience and unwavering dedication to his duty. Furthermore, they also thanked the public for their support during his time as king. Now, while Prince William and Princess Catherine were able to hold back their emotions, the same couldn't be said for Prince Harry and Princess Anne. Prince Harry, despite his geographical and personal distance, issued a truly heartfelt statement, highlighting his father's enduring commitment to the causes that are so close to his heart. On the other hand, Princess Anne, who has a very strong relationship with Charles, offered a deep and personal glimpse into their unique sibling relationship. You could almost say she was the one who was the most heartbroken because of this terrible news. And while Princess Anne made only a few remarks, she celebrated him way more than the others, painting a picture of a family that is unified just as much as they are diverse. At the moment, there's clearly an atmosphere of turmoil inside Buckingham Palace, and it should have been much easier to handle if not for the constant stream of bad news that has been springing up. While Camilla might have announced King Charles's illness, it now turns out that the King isn't the only one who is sick. Apparently, the Queen Consort herself is facing some serious complications with her own health. Yes, you heard that right. This all became known to the public after the Queen cancelled 2 planned appearances in November. As a matter of fact, the Queen was supposed to attend the annual Field of Remembrance event at Westminster, Abby and co-host a Buckingham Palace reception for the medalists of Team Great Britain alongside King Charles. However, that never happened. Instead, for the event at Westminster, she was represented by Birgitta, the Duchess of Gloucester. It was only later that the official news came out that the Queen was sick, having been diagnosed with a chest infection. The Queen has had to cancel her engagements for the week after being diagnosed with that infection. The reports given by the royal family were that the doctors advised a short period of rest for the Queen to recover, but the public is terrified that the official report is hiding the full extent of the entire situation. In fact, many believe the royal family might be intentionally holding back critical details on the severity of her condition. But could that really be the case? Right now, it's pretty hard to tell. We can only take the little bit of information they've shared with us at face value. As matters continue to develop, Queen Camilla has made sure to apologise to anyone who may have been inconvenienced or even disappointed as a direct result of her absence, course of her illness. She also made it clear just how optimistic she was that she would get back on her feet very soon. Of course, while there might be no official pressure, she absolutely needs to get back on her feet, and fast, because she is the second in command right after King Charles. Just picture the state of the nation if both the King and the Queen were suddenly bedridden. It would definitely cause a state of panic and total chaos. On top of that, let's not forget about Kate. Middleton's struggle with an undisclosed form of cancer earlier this year. Fortunately, she announced that she was finally able to overcome the illness in September. However, this was only after she had to undergo some extremely serious chemotherapy. This really goes a long way to show just how much the dark shadow of sickness looms over Buckingham Palace. Then again, you have to stop and ask, just how bad is this situation, and what could King Charles and Queen Camilla's sicknesses mean for the entire monarchy? It gets really interesting from here, so stay tuned so you do not miss out on the details, the public reactions, and the monarchy's possible future, especially with people having so many different thoughts and theories about the King and Queen's health and the current health status of the royals in general. But it is important to know that this sudden series of health scares that has hit the family isn't a new thing. As a matter of fact, in the past there have been several times where the top royals faced terrible health crises. However, the public never actually got to hear about it until the very end. Take, for instance, the rule of King George VI in the early 1950s when he was diagnosed with lung cancer. As a matter of fact, during this time the King's poor health was largely concealed from the British public, and every single detail was kept private within Buckingham Palace. This secretive move was made so that the country would be able to preserve its image of strength. So, did that work? Definitely. However, just imagine the shock on the people's faces when news finally got out that the King had died in 1952. This was more than enough proof that the monarchy had held back on the full extent of the King's illness. Even though the monarchy might have been able to successfully face the lack of transparency came at a serious cost, completely washing away the trust and confidence of the people in the royal family. It is also said that history could have repeated itself with Princess Margaret Queen Elizabeth II's younger sister. When she was alive, she faced numerous health challenges, including a lung operation and a series of strokes later in her life. You have to admit these were all issues worthy of being concealed from the public, but instead they were made public. These struggles of hers were exactly what humanized her in the eyes of the public, especially considering the prior history of the royal family. You can really say this is when the royal family started to experience a major shift in how they addressed these kinds of issues. Even though that is the case, there are still people out there who believe that the royal family has reverted back to their old ways when King George VI was alive. According to some beliefs, this drastic measure is because of the tension and power displays, power between the top leading countries around the world. That being said, it's pretty fair that the public should be stunned and a little bit pessimistic about how future events will unfold. Camilla, who announced the state The crown is in appears to be the one on her feet the most. As a matter of fact, over time she has truly distinguished herself as a passionate advocate for health-related causes, most especially in the difficult realm of cancer, awareness. Over the years, she has worked closely with charities like Macmillan Cancer, Support Breast Cancer Now, and Marie Curie. Working with these fantastic organisations, all she does is bring much-needed attention to early detection and patient support. And that's not all. She also gets involved far beyond her ceremonial roles, presenting personal anecdotes and making heartfelt appeals that really show that she is genuinely and deeply committed to the cause. And you should know, while Camilla creates awareness about cancer, she definitely doesn't hold back from talking about how the people close to her are personally affected. These stories are exactly what make her so relatable to the common people who might be affected. Her direct participation in events, such as the annual Macmillan Coffee Morning or her frequent visits to cancer research facilities, cannot be overlooked either. Her strong presence at the community level is what has truly elevated her in the eyes of the people as their queen now. Having heard about her own chest infection and how she has been struggling to keep up all appearances in place of King Charles, people are seeing a more human side to Camilla now, and an outpouring of support is wishing her a speedy recovery. The hope is that she'll make a complete recovery as we head into the new year, and a lot of people have their fingers crossed. Since the Queen Consort is now focusing more on health matters, it's pretty safe to expect that major changes are on the horizon. We're likely to see a major shift in the coming years regarding cancer and other illnesses, and there is bound to be more. Medical research awareness campaigns and support for healthcare initiatives in the UK will all be overseen and approved by the monarch. So what we're really expecting in the country over the next few years is a complete overhaul of all health-related policies. These new policies will most likely favour all UK citizens, and as grand a picture as that paints. We're not talking about some distant, far-off future. What we are actually discussing is what's happening right now. These recent times with King Charles's own health on the line, it's a fact the news of his diagnosis has stirred up so much. A mixture of both concern and solidarity is rallying citizens around this shared emotional moment. And yes, there are plenty of theories swirling around the topic, but the solidarity among the British people is undeniable. Meanwhile, it seems like Camilla's announcement is starting to resonate far beyond Britain's own borders, and one of the things that's becoming clear to outsiders is how the British monarchy has chosen to become much more transparent in its affairs. Transparent in their business and public dealings, and after seeing the results of Queen Camilla's announcement, other countries are watching. Especially those that still have a monarchy are now looking to adopt the very same tactic to ensure their own transparency in their own affairs and relations with the public. So, in short, the tides are changing fast, and Queen Camilla is right at the forefront, stirring it all up simply because she chose to be transparent and seeing how much of an achievement this makes us think about the other accomplishments of the King and Queen and the entire legacy that they have managed to build together. You see, the legacy of Queen Camilla and King Charles III is defined by their lasting contributions to the monarchy, their passionate support for important causes, and their sheer ability to face down both personal and public challenges head-on if you were looking for a story about someone rising above the odds. With nothing but pure dedication to her duty, Camilla would always be the perfect example. Why? Well, it's because what many people just see as a duty to the public is actually a lifestyle that Camilla has lived ever since she was a duchess. Her work with charities focused on literacy, domestic violence awareness, and osteoporosis are all charitable causes that Camilla was deeply involved in long before she ever became queen, so the only reason why it might seem like her charity work is just for show is because she's now on a much bigger stage with cameras and royal security. Surrounding her in general, Camilla has worked diligently to boost the monarchy's relevance in modern society. And things like health education and animal welfare are just a few of the causes she holds very close to her heart. But while we're talking about Camilla, we absolutely can't forget the achievements of King Charles in the short time he's been king. He's been deeply committed to environmentalism, sustainable development, and interfaith dialogue. These are passions he's pursued long before he ever wore the crown. In fact, his main focus has always been on sustainable farming, renewable energy, and ecological preservation, and he has also launched several initiatives, like the Prince's Trust, which has now supported over 1 million young people worldwide since he ascended the throne. King Charles has been looking for many ways to modernise the monarchy, and honestly, he has been doing a really great job. Until he was diagnosed with cancer, basically, as things stand now, only he and Camilla really have what it takes to accomplish this massive task of modernisation that is the only way that a new era can truly dawn for the British kingdom. As such, the people are looking to the royal family for answers about the state of things, and many are hoping that the situation isn't quite as terrible as it seems for both Queen Camilla and King Charles. Already, you can tell things are starting to look up for Queen Camilla, so it's really no surprise that she fits into this new picture, and while there were plenty of controversies surrounding her ascension to the throne, people began to see her as the genuinely caring queen she really was, and gradually she gained not just public acceptance but real admiration from the people now, while the more traditional followers of the royal family might not fully approve of her methods. The wider population of modern and more inclusive thinkers is actually quite receptive to her style at the end of the day. Only time will reveal how things truly unfold, and we hope it's for the betterment of the throne itself. So, what do you think about Queen Camilla's announcement? Do you think that people are perhaps overthinking things, or is there something more to this story than what we see? We'd love you to share. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and if you liked what you saw, please remember to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to click the next video popping up on your screen. We think you are going to absolutely love it.